Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hi-rez Studios here in Alpharetta, Georgia. Today we've got some excitement going on as far as our Pro-Am scene is concerned. It's now time to look towards the console scene. We're here looking at the European console scene specifically. We're entering the semifinals of the Challenger Cup presented by FACEIT.
And this is going to be an interesting set of games that we have today. A lot of these players, a lot of these teams are newly formed rosters, and they're trying to take a stab at the European side of things in terms of getting into the SCL. First up, we're going to have Nate's Minions against PutKettleOn.
Right, and a lot of these people, as we said, you might be unfamiliar with them, and that's the fun part about this tournament, is that these are the people that you will be familiar with very, very soon. Nate's Minions took down Bench Esports to make it here, and then Team SP crumbled in front of PutKettleOn as they made their way into the semifinals. The winner of this, of course, will head on to the finals and face the winner of Abstract and Battalion. You can see that on the left side. So all of these matches will be a best of 3, and we'll see if Nate's Minions can actually put the kettle on or if it's just going to boil over.
We're going to see how these picks and ban strategies develop, whether or not these teams have been doing their homework against one another, or if we're going to see more kind of generic style bans, whether it's going to be, you know, the Susano, the Ao Kwang, or if it's going to be more lean towards playing against your opponent that you're so used to.
And I think that's the major difference, totally, between what we see in organized league play versus what we see in more open-ended brackets like what we have here today with the FACEIT European Console League Challenger Cup, in that these teams aren't necessarily preparing for each other. Just expect good old-fashioned Smite. And then once these guys succeed and make it into a league, that's really when that breaks down. And of course, that's a whole nother barrel of monkeys to really open up to right now. So for the bans, I would expect bans like Fafnir, bans like Ao Kwang, gods that in general are just very strong. Don't expect one of those deep cut Freya bans because they know player X is excellent at this. A lot of these rosters are at the moment unknown, but like I said before, at one point in time, players like iRaffer and Adapting were unknown, so everybody's got to start somewhere.
That's true. Coming out of the Challenger Cup, normally it's more of a diversified challenge where you have to literally adapt to every single team at every single stage, whereas the SCL and SPL is more focused on who your opponent is in that given week. So you have more time to prepare for one specific opponent once you advance to the next stage. But getting to that stage, you have to be on the fly, getting ready to ban anything and everything, especially in best of 3 kind of sets where it will develop game after game.
And I think that's what's a lot of fun here. When we talk specifically with MOBAs, we always mention this word meta game, meta, and what does that mean? And I think that this is really where you get to see a large difference, totally, in that the meta between SPL, SCL is very different between the Challenger Cup meta because you're running into so many different opponents. So that's why our bans are very standard. Fafnir, Kwang, Susano, Raijin, nothing too out of this world. Nate's Minions will start off the P's and B's by selecting Nemesis, hinting that they might want to go an all-in burst type strategy.
That's true. With a Nemesis, Divine Judgment, all-in strategy, reducing the protections and the movement speed, and a very short cooldown means you always want to be in the fray of things. You want to be aggressively penetrating that back line, making it very annoying for anyone on PutKettleOn to be relatively safe and getting off their cooldowns.
ABCs, right? Always be clearing with Nemesis, it's always be casting that ult. You always want to keep it on cooldown, making sure that you're getting the most uses of it. And Nemesis, because of that, functions very well with gods like Bacchus, which is why we see PutKettleOn go ahead and select Bacchus. Not having that 1-2 punch of ultimate belly flop sort of neuters what Nate's Minions want to go with. So they go with the other big jump man, and it'll be Odin. And Neath, of course, complements these types of compositions very well by providing a global ranged stun.
Normally, we don't see Odin this early in picks and bans. Normally, you want to have a great counter pick of an Odin where the enemy pigeonhole themselves with a team comp that really can't escape that Odin cage. But with this early pick, it could be a flex idea, whether it's support or solo lane. They could be looking for an early game dual lane push strategy, or they could be leaning on putting that in the solo lane and then transitioning into ganking the mid lane non-stop.
In addition to that, what Odin also does is, like you said, Odin usually gets picked late because you want to keep people trapped in that ring. Or if you pick Odin early, you can sort of force the hand of PutKettleOn to go ahead and get gods that jump and escape the ring very well. With all 4 bans being used, actually, Susano, Raijin, Zeus, and Freya being used by PutKettleOn, I was expecting Nate's minions to go ahead and select a Wheelish. Instead, they ban it out.
Well, the next pick,
choice there.
The next pick is going to be for PutKettleOn, so they want to eliminate the idea that a Wheelish can easily pluck the Odin away from his initiation, right? So you have an Wheelish hiding in the mid camps. All of a sudden, your support, you're thinking you have a 3-on-2 in the mid lane. I'm going to go jump on these two guys, and then you get pulled in a 1v1 situation against an Wheelish, and now like, well, I'm screwed.
You know, I think I make that gamble. I think it's very interesting. Nate's minions banning out the Wheelish. Very careful ban phase here, which tells us that Nate's minions have something else completely in mind, and it's going to be the Vulcan combination with Odin. Absolutely love it. Basically, Nemesis is going to come on in, ult somebody, Odin's going to drop the cage, and then Vulcan's going to shoot the three-pointer from wherever he's at. Hopefully it goes right in the money and then finds a kill. That's pretty much the game plan for Nate's minions.
It's like that doctor's office whenever your parents bring you as a kid, you're 5-year-old, you're playing with the blocks and you're filling in the square, the circle, and the circle. And that's exactly what Nate's minion doing with the Odin-Vulcan combination.
On the other hand, PutKettleOn as they continue and they finish their group composition. Hun Bats, the party monkey, will be here, and it's all about disruption. You can see the Bacchus selection was really just to take it away from Nate's minions, and then with everybody else that they have along the board, PutKettleOn are really just looking for blatant disruption. Nate's minions have a straight game plan that they want to execute, and PutKettleOn, they don't necessarily have one themselves. They're looking more to mess up whatever Nate has planned.
That's true, and with this early game composition, we're going to see Vulcan against the Soul in the mid lane, and we've seen Vulcan a lot more recently now with the change to his passive, applying that 15% movement speed, the 15 MP5, so if you're confident in landing those abilities, it's very difficult to also catch up to a Vulcan that consistently has that passive up.
Something very fun that I want to point out here real quick is Nate's minions will actually be having a support Odin. So you've got Negate over there supporting Cauzing in that long lane, which means that nMinos, I was going to call him Minos over here, he'll be playing the solo lane Kumbhakarna. Now this is a choice that I won't call it out of the ordinary. I think it is sort of the second shelf pick, and I absolutely love it. Why don't you break down the choice for us a little bit?
So against an Erlang Shen in the soul lane, that's going to be very aggressive, especially with the death toll, trying to keep up sustain. You want to be as resilient as possible, and there's nothing more resilient than putting a Guardian in that soul lane. Even if Erlang Shen finds the kill, he has to commit to getting more in-hands off to secure it off of the Kumbhakarna passive, and that could buy him an extra life.
Kumbhakarna is also, so characters that wind up in the solo lane, as we see a neat grouping coming up from the guys leaving the solo lane, heading towards those right harpies, something we've seen a number of times, even at our PCF Salon Invitational. Kumbhakarna is a god that works very well in the solo lane. Traditionally in the solo lane, you want to stick a god that makes very good use of farm because they're going to be there all the time. And now Guardians work out very well because their base damage is already very high, but Kumbhakarna just becomes nearly unkillable.
And this is going to be a matchup where the Erlang Shen is going to try to get off some early poke, get a bullying position where a lot of health potions, a lot of multi-pots are going to be used by the Kumbhakarna, and then maybe find a kill. Whereas Kumbhakarna is waiting up until the level 7 mark or higher. Once he can start easily clearing the wave, and then in between waves, that's when he's going to look for the poke.
So right now, you can see this already cleared the wave, trying to get the poke down onto the Erlang Shen. Nice little yawn. And that allows nMinos to pretty much be safe underneath the tower. All the pressure seems to be in red here, Toli. Left lane, mid lane, right lane. Everybody on PutKettleOn just pushing it down.
Especially when you have a Hu-Yi in the duo lane paired up with a Bacchus. It makes things very difficult. The Bacchus even belly flopping the Neath, delaying her clear ever so slightly. But on the flip side, Nate's minions does have this Odin support, which is one of the best supports that you want to have in terms of clearing a wave.
Next to a Neath, I mean, there's no reason that minions should exist for more than 0.2 seconds longer, right? There's the ultimate out of the Kumbhakarna, just sort of waiting there. Only level 4 on the Erlang Shen. So a good opportunity for the Kumbhakarna to go on in, but nothing really to be made of it.
And that's what you want to do as a Kumbhakarna. Spam your epic uppercut just to slowly whittle away your opposition. But at this stage, without any items, it's a little too early for that.
Now, Erlang Shen, one of the newer gods, hold that thought. CobbY in some trouble. 3 players grouping up on the support. Nemesis ultimate used. Couple of basics, and Bacchus is going down. Cauzing on the good side of that one. First blood going the way of Nate's minions.
You have to be so careful about being so liberal with your belly flops. Perfect capitalization. Nate's minions recognizing that the Bacchus always Nightmares, finds the belly flops onto bughul, and they finally found that first blood.
I mean, that's the sort of Achilles heel of, honestly, both of these support characters, both Odin and Bacchus. The same way that they initiate and make things happen is the same way that they get the hell out of a problematic situation. So the more aggression that we see in this lane, the more vulnerable these players will be.
That's true, but on the flip side, Odin does clear the wave with his jump,
right,
his bird bomb jump combination, whereas Bacchus doesn't necessarily clear right away up until he gets shoes of the Mad Guys.
Very true. So a lot of that extra poke damage will come by way of the minions, but you know, with that said, a jungler, certainly a different story. Slowing down is Negate, but no ring dropped, not available, so doesn't have the tools, excuse me, to really jump in on solo. I'm sure he wanted to go all in, but just didn't have it available.
Time is not in his favor at this moment, but he could potentially look for it now. Soul is kind of baiting, as we do have the Hunbats waiting for the initiation. Once the Odin jumps in, you can definitely see that secondary initiation, and that's sometimes more important than the primary one.
Exactly, especially for PutKettleOn. Like we dictated, or Nate's minions definitely have a set plan, and this is what I was talking about, Tully. Looks like Kumbhakarna gets a lot of poke, but Erlang Shen, one of the newer characters, has that heal. The ultimate is a giant taunt, think Athena way, but as soon as it's all done, he heals up a whole bunch. So a lot of the poke that Kumba's giving might be negated.
That's true, especially with the Death Toll onto Erlang Shen, the ultimate giving him a little bit more sustain on top. So not a favorable matchup in the early game for this Kumbhakarna, but with the addition of this Nemesis, it's going to spell doom for Mango Man.
2 kills, and they're both on the jungler. Cauzing off to a fantastic start. Him and his team have a small, well, kill lead, but everything else even, as PutKettleOn has been able to farm extremely intelligently. And, you know, going back to that solo lane matchup, yes, I think fighting into the Erlang Shen is a little bit troublesome for our Kumbhakarna, but that's the beauty of solo lane. It's not always about the first 5-10 minutes. It's not always about the lane, in fact.
You have to respect the junglers, especially when you haven't had time to go back to base, pick up the wards, place it very aggressively in the enemy jungle, so you also know when the speed buff's respawning as well as the blue buff, and you have to be looking for that jungler all the time. The Nemesis already ganked the dual lane 2 minutes ago, so definitely roaming after the speed buff that was picked up around 3.5.
And on top of that, I mean, it's also about that transition, right? Kumbhakarna's going to be dealing all this poke. Erlang Shen will heal up in just a moment, so it's pretty much neither here nor there. But there's the assist from Neath across the world. Probably still not enough to get the kill till a couple of basics come out. But again, it's more about Kumbhakarna's more looking for, right now he's only level 8. Kumba's looking to make trouble in his rotations at level 12. It's not necessarily how he's trying to kill Erlang Shen, it's about how he's trying to kill people across the map, or perhaps more importantly, set his teammates up to kill those players.
And by poking out this Erlang Shen, forcing him to back, the teleport is on cooldown, so having to split this wave with the Hun Bats, taking that away, is going to allow this Kumbhakarna to hit level 9, hit level 13 for the secondary and third level ultimate, which is going to just be more and more consistent damage on top of Mango Man.
Exactly, so it's all about leaving. It's funny. I feel like your solo lane is sort of like high school, where you do all you can. Maybe you're a bully, maybe you're not, but you're just sort of like building up these experiences. And then once the laning phase is over, you're a big man. You're 18, and you're able to go out and really make it happen for the rest of the world. And you see that bigger picture, and that's kind of what Kumba's doing. He's top player damage, but like I said before, it's going to be all about his rotations. And all of a sudden, there's Kumba ulting the soul in the mid lane. Now everybody's got to worry.
And looking at the composition out of PutKettleOn, if you have a Kumbhakarna in the backline, having that Hu Yi always being distracted, now the Nemesis on top of the Kumbhakarna is just going to create so much havoc. PutKettleOn really needs to make sure that they stay relevant in the early game to prevent that kind of zoning in the later stages.
And Nate's minions starting out the zoning right here, 3-on-3 fight over the right-hand Harpies. Would love to see Nate get aggressive, and that's what they're going to do. Negate jumps right on in, and there's the ultimate out of the monkey, trying to turn things around, and it will. Sudsy gets the first kill right there. Now it's a 3-on-2. Everybody from Nate's minions retreating as the aggressive Odin has fallen 2-1 as PutKettleOn find their first kill, and the minions on the right-hand side.
That's so unfortunate. It's a level 7 Odin with Warrior Tabby finish. He used his jump to initiate instead of the blink, and on top of that, the cooldowns just weren't there to follow up off of Negate. We had the Hunbats that was doing a great job counter-initiating with the Fear No Evil, and that resulted Nate's minions to basically stay in the backline.
Again, Again, that is going to be the gold standard of what PutKettleOn want to do. Nate's minions are the one with the roadmap, and PutKettleOn is a team that's going to try and disrupt that. Hunbat's a perfect selection to do just that. I love the pick ban phase coming out from PutKettleOn.
Just a little bit more poke on the soul lane. This is exactly what nMinos wants to do. Just keep being a bully. Look the way he's positioning himself before he clears the wave. He throws an archer back at Erlang Shen just to min-max the amount of poke damage you can do. If you can ever maximize your abilities to clear the wave and damage the enemy soul laner, that's how you know you're a successful soul laner.
And of course, this is one of the big things, making sure Mango Man uses the ultimate. This kill, not that exciting because there just isn't any tools, but what makes that exciting is all the stuff that happened beforehand. The 1v1, nMinos goes ahead, uses his ultimate, forces Erlang Shen's ult, and that's when he says, hey, buddy, jungler, Cauzing, this guy has no tools. Just come over and it'll be easy peasy.
And I still haven't seen any wards coming out of PutKettleOn in the soul lane up until just now that was placed by this Bacchus. Looking at Erlang Shen, he does have 2 wards placed, but it was passively underneath the Fire Giant. The Nemesis keeps ganking from the top side, so have to be more careful about these positional ganks coming out of Cauzing, especially when you have to worry about the Neath ultimate.
Yeah, take a note from the duo lane. You can see the ward spotting out, Cauzing the jungler right there, forcing him to pretty much walk away and go right to the piggy banks. Can clear that out for the duo side. Nate's minions, on the other hand, still under pressure here in the mid lane. Not really going to find much of anything, but the guys from PutKettleOn heading out to the left side. Looks like a Gold Fury start, Tully.
10-minute mark, Gold Fury would have been a nice timing, but too many members not really in position to follow up, but
nice
the Bach is going to jump in. Fear No Evil on top. Vulcan ultimate trying to deter, but he's solo. He has to backfire. And with this one pick, potentially, PutKettleOn could position themselves on this gold.
And I think that was the game plan from the get-go. Obviously, the teams are very, very even right now. It wouldn't have been extremely smart to go for the Gold Fury, but just making that rotation and forcing other people to follow. Hey, 3 people went into the Gold Fury side. As the opponent, you have to follow them. Otherwise, you could give up the objective for free. So PutKettleOn kind of just walks into a situation, and they're able to pick one up. So Auzrik here, hiding with CobbY right in between. Again, we just saw this play. Bounce up, ultimate. No ultimate from the monkey, however. So Sentinel able to turn it around.
Taking so much return poke damage. The soul not electing to the ultimate was used earlier on, so not too much follow-up damage this time around, and no Fear No Evil. But in the mid lane, the Odin cage comes out. Soul in a lot of trouble. That's going to give a stack to the Odin passive, and as the game progresses, you have to be really careful about dying in that Odin cage, because the more and more physical power he has as a support means he's just going to be able to punish your backline.
Again, beautiful play coming out from the Odin. That's going to open the window here for the objective. You can see hi-rez here, and the ultimate is available. So the suns come raining down, and the Gold Fury goes the way of Nate's minions, despite the Hunter's best efforts. So the first big play here in our game, 11 minutes in, Nate's minions stretch a 2,000 gold lead.
A very important Gold Fury to get, as nMinos trying to return some sustain, even using the turtle to get that HP 5. We see the swing with the ultimate, but it's not that much to really deal with this Kumbhakarna. He's level 13 now. He has Shoes of the Magi, Breastplate of Valor. He's going to be constantly looking for this poke.
And it's going to come. I mean, we've seen the poke pretty much the whole time, and this is the magic number, level 13, where Kumbhakarna puts extra points in his ultimate. You were talking about that. What makes Bad Luck 13 so devastating?
Well, having 3 points into your ultimate, especially with Epic Uppercut already being such a short cooldown, you had Breastplate of Valor on top of that, and you're a level ahead of your opposition, who was forced to go into this Pestilence build. It's also going to allow the Nemesis to follow up of the initiation. But
and the monkey going to follow up off of his own initiation. Luckily, gets it to the back of the tower. Well played by PutKettleOn. Wasn't even expecting that, honestly. I think Sentinel just found himself in a bad spot. And now Negate one more time. Again, just stays underneath the tower a little bit too long. And one by one, Nate's minions walking themselves to the cleaners, as they are not grouping up here, Tully. They lose a tier 1 tower. Soul in some trouble, but the monkey looking to follow up.
He doesn't have much mana to really chase this down. The Bacchus doing a great job securing the kill. nMinos looking for the kill on the Bacchus, but he can't really catch up. Forced to disengage after the 1-for-1 trade. A beautiful engage by PutKettleOn, constantly abusing the fact that this Odin isn't quite tanky yet, doesn't have any crowd control immunity, just constantly going to punish him.
And, you know, one of the big things that I saw in that last engagement, forget about all the crowd control immunity and all the finer points of the game, just looking from a bigger lens, perhaps, Tully. the individual players just walked one by one into this engagement. The old adage of they're out there playing ranked really comes to mind. These guys have to spend some more time together and find themselves as a unit, because walking in one by one into a 2-on-3, 2-on-4 situation is not how you win Smite games, and it's just not going to work out.
That's true, and we look at the graphs currently. Nate's minions are basically tied with PutKettleOn, despite getting that Gold Fury and the First Blood earlier on. PutKettleOn have been doing a good job. They stripped away some of the jungle from Nate's minions after that last engagement, staying still in a good spot in towards the mid game here.
As we said, just in general, PutKettleOn had a lot of the pressure in the early game in pretty much all the lanes, despite the push kind of being gifted on the side of Nate's minions. This 1v1 on the right-hand side is about to become a full team fight fest. Half HP on the solo laner already. Vulcan ult down for the count. That one off the mark, but the Odin comes through. So does Hunbat, sending everybody up north. A lot of damage coming in. 4 surrounding 2 on the side of Nate's minions. 1 goes down to the hand of Auzrik, and Negate will take a seat, but the other 3 players from Nate's minions are safe for the moment, unable to defend this tier 1 tower though, so it looks like another 500 gold going into the coffers of PutKettleOn.
Nate's minions are just a little too low. The Fear No Evil basically disoriented them so much, and all that area of effect damage coming out of the Soul, the Hunbats, and even the Bacchus was just too much for Nate's minions. They can see this tier 1 tower, but look at this, they're not done. They're going to keep pushing this tier 2 tower in the right-hand side.
I mean, why not, Toli? There's a 1v1 Hunter situation on the left, however. Ultimate from the Hou Yi already used. bughul in some trouble, taking the basics. nMinos gets the kill out of the other support, but Neath, on the other hand, stunned. You're gone. Shazzy on the good side of that one. 2v2 on the right-hand side. Totally. Sudsy uses the escape mechanism, but it's already over, and the slow is good from Odin.
So in a little bit of trouble, but it's a 2-on-2 currently. Odin trying to look for the bird bomb jump, finding the chase, connects on the Sanctuary, prevents all that damage.
Played.
And now the Odin could get turned on here.
Just might. He's going to have to run away. 3 players from Nate's minions together, but it just doesn't matter. Soul drops the ultimate, and that'll pretty much just get rid of any chance of fighting there on the right-hand side. 7 all as far as our kills are concerned. PutKettleOn starting to sneak a little bit of a lead, but it's below 1,000, so really just something to start thinking about.
Just controlling the map. All the tier 1 towers from Nate's minions have been stripped off the board, whereas all 6 stay strong from PutKettleOn. The only difference is the fact that Nate's minions were the ones to strike first blood on that Gold Fury.
And that was a big deal for the moment because it essentially kept Nate's minions in it. PutKettleOn were being a little bit more successful in the lanes, and then because of the pressure in the lanes, the sort of secondary effect of having the pressure allows them to be a little bit more active in the jungle. In order to stay relevant, Nate's minions had to get that gold fury. If they hadn't, I think we'd see a team down 2,000 gold already.
Absolutely, and nMinos getting Neath ultimate, used the meditation earlier on. We just see the devastation that a mid to late game Kumbhakarna can really provide in your solo lane matchup.
So this is actually a very interesting situation. Kumbhakarna pretty much flat out winning this lane. He's about 300 gold above Erlang Shen as well as a level. bughul in some trouble one more time by the boogeyman. Hunbats himself has been all over the map, creating havoc. 4-1 and 3 for VR Auzrik. Left-hand side, 2 following 1. Now it's a little bit more even, 3-on-3, but Soul will just provide some poke.
Both teams positioning themselves as the Gold Fury has respawned, and with that 1 pick onto the Neath, this is a good idea for PutKettleOn to start this Gold Fury, but in the mid lane, the Kumbhakarna made the rotation, whereas Erlang Shen hasn't quite made his, so it's going to be important for Nate's minions to utilize the fact that the solo laner's here first.
Exactly. Gold Fury just completely leashed as soon as they see nMinos ultimate coming out from Auzrik, not even available, so the belly flop is a good choice, but there's nMinos finding the kill onto the monkey, assisted by Sentinel and that Vulcan kit. 2 players locked under the cage, but it's more defensive than offensive. As long as Nate's minions can protect themselves from PutKettleOn, I think that's the win they're looking for.
I love what Solo's doing, baiting herself out a little bit longer to allow Erlang Shen to make this rotation. Nemesis able to get the double dash away. So far it's been a 1-for-1 trade as the support does fall for the mid laner, favoring Nate's minions in that scenario, but they have to figure out a way to get another kill at least here.
Yeah, Erlang's looking for the root, but it's purified out, so Sentinel gets away no problem. bughul, on the other hand, about to turn it around. 1 shot, 1 kill. bughul winds up putting double digits on the board for Nate's minions. 42,000 gold, trailing by 400. Beautiful tie game here we have in the semifinals of our Console League Challenger Cup presented by FACEIT.
And with these picks, Goldfury is looking like a tempting option. Not having the Erlang Shen means like your backline is going to be very safe. You don't really have to worry about that dive. You do have to worry about the Bacchus and the Hun Bats, however, but it's looking like that PutKettleOn's going to be the one to start this.
Look at the mini-map, though. You just see the entire group of Nate's minions grouping up like little ants. Fantastic, just collapse. And just the presence of Nate's minions. They don't even have to start the fight. nMinos is just being annoying. They don't even have to start the fight. Just showing up pushes PutKettleOn off of the objective.
But now Erlang Shen has made the rotation off of the respawn, looking like the soul is so low, forced to retreat. The blinking from the Odin, forcing the cage. Hunbat's just going to jump out, however. Very fortunate timing.
bughul trying to find the basics. He's going to get taunted by the solo laner. There's the monkey ultimate. Backflip will save the life of the hunter for the moment, but Auzrik in some trouble now. Immediately dropping the ultimate makes everybody look at the party monkey. Fear no evil does what it's supposed to and disapparates the entire team fight. Here comes Bacchus jumping in, dropping the intoxicate, and PutKettleOn now in the driver's seat.
nMinos doing a good job zoning with the yawn, but now the Hunbat's put himself in an awkward position, teleporting into that monkey bounce, sacrificing his own life without finding a return kill. Neath looking for the World Weaver charge, but nobody really in position to follow up.
Yeah, not going to be a kill right there, so bughul backs off of it again. PutKettleOn starting the Gold Fury this time around. They've got a couple of zoners. Soul, however, a little bit squishy to be considered one of the zoning characters, but quickly it's a 4-on-1. Good ultimate coming out from Neath, but as you said, no real follow-up. nMinos tried to really get there. He's got the blink available, Tolly, but doesn't want to go too deep.
He could potentially find somebody slipping. He does have the epic uppercut on top of the blink, which would set up a lot of follow-up damage if an Odin Bird Bomb were available.
Which is why he is the one elected to play defense. Good zoning. One yawn, one root. Here comes Bacchus. He's the biggest threat, perhaps gets on through. Sons of Gibson drops the ultimate, but the Gold Fury still goes the way of Nate's minions. Well done by nMinos.
And beautiful disengage on top of that, forcing the yawn and the dash away. The cage doing a wonderful job blocking out anyone from PutKettleOn to find the chase. This is their opportunity, however, to take advantage of a lot of low members from Nate's minions and maybe go for this tier 2 tower.
Right, that's why we see this happen so often unless Mango Man gets caught out like that. Every time a team generally goes for the Gold Fury, a little bit of Smite 101, they utilize their cooldowns and they use some of their HP as well from tanking it. So that usually opens the mid lane tower for a free shot from the enemy team. However, PutKettleOn, they don't really group up. They just send one player there, and Erlang Shen becomes, well, he got dead.
Just a little bit of miscommunication. The Hu-Yi was going for the red buff, also stripped the boars away from Nate's minions, so it's not a bad idea to take these small objectives, but Hunbat's in a little bit of trouble, but he finds the kill onto the Vulcan despite being 1v4.
That's been Auzrik the whole game, trying to find the jump. Will purify out the stun from the Neath. Well done. Now Auzrik blinks away. Well done. Loving this jungle performance for PutKettleOn. 5-3-3, Tolly, and honestly, a lot of what he was doing, I noted this when he was 3-1-3. I wanted to give him a lot of credit for providing help that doesn't wind up on the scoreboard.
He has to keep this strategy in mind, forcing the Vulcan out of these teamfights or finding the kill. Either one works successfully. These Vulcan ultimates haven't been really on point. It's because of all the penetration that has been inflicted upon him. He just can't really deal with it. He has to reposition himself very carefully, causing out of position, he's gonna fall in a 1v4. He can't replicate the same thing that Auzrik did.
Yeah, one of the fun things that I've noticed out of Auzrik is that ultimate right there, when he was surrounded 1v4, 1v5, that was the first time that we've seen Fear No Evil used in a selfish scenario, I'll call it. Every single other time it's been used for the team, trying to disrupt or erupt a team fight. PutKettleOn now getting aggressive, but Sentinel is the one that starts the fight from the defensive position, getting the ultimate off and finding the kill onto CobbY, the support that jumped right on in.
Not having that initiation now makes it very difficult for PutKettleOn to really continue this fight, but nMinos doesn't really care. Just gonna be able to continue the aggression. Erlang Shen does take a spill, and it looks like Soul is just unfortunately unfortunately disconnected or something.
Yeah, Soul's just not available here for this fight. Instead, Yi getting jumped on, getting stunned. He's going to activate the Sanctuary for a second, totally, but inevitably finds his demise. Sentinel with the kill, number 4 for the mid laner. And the minions going to do what they can onto this Soul.
I love the sportsmanship, however, by Nate's minions. They recognize Soul did disconnect from the game. Finally did take a spill to the Olympian archers, but continued the fight regardless, because you still have to play the game. Even if you clearly see somebody's out, you have to play the game until the game gets paused.
Right, you know, play to win. That's always how I feel. You know, as far as like letting the person survive. I don't mind you going for the kill. I'll never chastise a player killing a disconnected or otherwise unavailable player. In fact, it doesn't even look like the Soul was DC'd. I think Soul just might have gotten distracted for a moment, which is not something you want to happen. But when it comes down to it, letting them fly, sure. Sentinel, on the other hand, I don't think he's going to fly.
Well, Hunbats is going to make sure that that kill gets confirmed. And you know what it probably was for the Soul? His mom told her to go put the kettle on.
Or the pizza rolls. Oh, no, this is EU. Definitely the kettle. Definitely the kettle. Guys, just a reminder, this is the the Smite Console League Challenger Cup semifinals. The winner of this will go on to the finals, where they will inevitably face the victors from the other side of the bracket. Abstract, perhaps. Well, here, Nate's minions making a play to make their finals run. CobbY in some trouble, will fall down in the hand of the Hunter. And that be that. 16 kills for the blue team, as well as an additional 500 gold in the bank. But make no mistakes, Totally, this is an even game through and through.
And look at this, Erlang Shen was able to get that tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. So that was just a distraction that CobbY was doing. He sacrificed himself to allow Mango Man to get that important tier 2 solo tower. Just a wonderful communication between PutKettleOn in that scenario.
So we're seeing this sort of back and forth and back and forth. Nate's minions wins, and then PutKettleOn wins, and then Nate wins, and then Kettle wins. Back and forth, quite literally. We've acknowledged the fact that Nate has the composition that wants to jump in and start things, and then PutKettleOn wants to sort of counter-initiate. If it goes back and forth, which is the team that usually winds up on top of these contests?
Whoever doesn't have to use their relics immediately. If you're forcing the relics right away with Fear No Evil, then the primary initiation from Auzrik should allow PutKettleOn to really win these team fights. But on the flip side, you have nMinos, who's just going to be such a big force, already level 20 at this stage. On the Kumakarn, is just going to have so much zoning control between the Yawn, the Root, and the Epic Uppercut to allow the rest of his team to really follow up. Yeah, we saw a lot of that success over there on the Gold Fury side, where he was 1v4 and only a single player was able to get past him because of all those tools. Really the ideal player to play goalie. 5 on whoever's coming down, and that's another tick for the Odin. So free power going the way of the Odin, 17 kills in total, and it looks like Nate's minions want to make that more. Root on the Hunter, he's going to dash out. Ultimate from 1, and there's the jump. Sanctuary saves the moment, but not the life. nMinos on the good side of that exchange. With this 2-player advantage, Nate's minions really need to keep putting on the pressure. They can't just allow any sort of contest on this fire giant. There's a lot of damage on the side of Nate's minions to get the fire jump, but they don't really have much secure, and PutKettleOn could still position themselves aggressively here and contest it. I love this plan of Nate's minions. nMinos backs in front of pretty much everybody that's here, knowing that he's got the teleport, so he's going to come right on back with a full HP bar. Sentinel avoids all of the damage coming out from the monkey, who's now forced on the retreat. Root is good, and the ultimate of Vulcan, not so much, but Cauzing not giving up. Slow and a couple of basics will seal the deal, but a crafty play by the monkey gets him out of dodge by use of the teleport of his own. Sentinel instead kills Soul, while Auzrik is safe and sound on the right side. Erlang Shen has revived and now could potentially find someone that is very low from Nate's minions. They have to utilize that advantage. Despite being down numbers, sometimes you could still play aggressive knowing the health pool is in your favor. Did you see that play coming out of Auzrik? That it just the monkey bounce, completely dead. Gets a perfect ultimate, but Nate's minions get a more perfect response with relics. So they're all chasing the monkey. He just jukes out a couple of basics. When Nemesis gets on him, he jumps, forcing her to use the slice and dice slow, but then the turnaround Sacred Monkey gets him pretty much behind everybody, and before anybody's aware of where Hunbat's
really went, he's safe under a right tier tower backing. That is the icing on the cake for this Auzrik guy. I'm loving watching him.
You have to be able to make a distraction to allow the rest of your team to potentially escape or to prevent the enemy from getting a big objective like Fire Giant at this point. Nate's minions had a 2-player advantage and they didn't get Fire Giant, so a successful defense by PutKettleOn despite losing the soul.
I mean, a lot of times we see it less flashy, where it's just the Sobek or, you know, the annoying Guardian just running around to the proverbial Benny Hill music, right? Where they're just running in a circle and then a waste of time of the other players. Occasionally, we get some flash, like we see out of Auzrik there with the fancy James Bond escape, but not quite going to win the game just yet. Nate's Minions, again, has a small lead. The largest lead of the game, actually, at about 2,000 gold. Neither team has surpassed that mark just yet. Nate's trying to make a play for the Fire Giant, however. 2 players to the left, 1 from the right. From PutKettleOn, trying to make it stop. 20% of the big man. There's the ultimate out of the monkey. This could be a big swing, but Nate's gets it anyway, and Sudsy Gibson starts the fight by taking out 1.
And with that 1 dead soul, is going to have to retreat. Bacchus getting caught out of position. The World Weaver connects, but Belly Flop is available. Need very low, going to get taken out by Gibbon. The fight continues as Auzrik from the back, trying to find a kill, but Nemesis is escaping. Vulcan very low. nMinos trying to secure this kill with a hand.
The backwards of what just happened before, instead uses Sacred Monkey to get into trouble. Totally. Nate's Minions are the ones that started this fight. They're the ones that started the objective, but they're the ones on the bottom side of it. 3 for 2 trade when the only players with Fire Giant left is the Kumbhakarna and the Nemesis. Not the good look that you'd like. So Nate's Minions now started to extend their lead, but PutKettleOn answers right on back. And now we're back to a 15,000 gold game.
And with this, they had to dump too many cooldowns onto this Fire Giant, which allowed PutKettleOn to find the counter initiation.
That's sort of like exactly what we saw on the Gold Fury side the other time.
Yep. Basically, Soul was able to get off a lot of damage with her Supernova, the Stellar Burst on top. The Hunbat Fear No Evil completely disrupted Nate's Minions from being able to find any sort of grip on the team fight, and Negate is still not relatively that tanky. He's level 14, despite him having fully stacked Hide of the Urchin, Breastplate of Valor, and the Runic Shield. It's just not enough at this stage of the game.
I mean, what more can he do? How much more tanky can he get?
Mantle of Discord.
Mantle of Discord.
That'll definitely help him out. Spirit Orb even would be really nice to survive the damage that's about to inflict upon him after the Fear No Evil comes out. Even getting Bacchus knocked up, the Spirit Orb would help him out more than the Runic Shield. But I like the idea. You're trying to limit the attack speed coming out of the Soul and the Hu Yi, especially in the late game.
Look at the chase here on the right-hand side. Great yawn and a good knockup. nMinos wants to fight this 2-on-3, but all of a sudden, it's a 2-on-4. Cauzing gonna dash forward, dash back. Negate looking for a good blink ring, perhaps maybe even a jump. There it is, selecting and collecting a couple of players on the backhand side. Nate's Minions looking for the aggression, finding one, and Mango Man is gonna be Mango dead if he doesn't get out, which he will. The ultimate saves the Erlang Shen's life, but not the life of the tower. 1,500 gold going the direction of Nate's Minions, whereas Shazzy finds the life of Cauzing. It's now the counter initiation by PutKettleOn.
Nemesis double dashing towards the opposition at very low health, had no other option as the tower was still aggressed on her. And with this 1-player advantage, look at this, PutKettleOn is still chasing down. There's the Fire Giant onto nMinos. Vulcan gonna get stopped with a lazy back. Bacchus possibly in a position to find the belly flop if he keeps chasing.
Oh, and he will. Sentinel absolutely cannot allow that one to happen. nMinos, on the other hand, gets caught out. 2 players here, so he's inevitably going to fall down. Auzrik gives the kill to his homie. But Mango Man, this character, more the character than the player, the Erlang Shen has repeatedly found himself with a hair of HP able to get away. What is it about this character that makes him so either slippery or tanky?
Well, whenever you use your turtle knockup, you're going to be able to get some health, as Neith is going to get dropped. Just too much damage in the late game. Level 20 Hunbats with the Deathbringer, finding those big in-hand crits. But going back on Erlang Shen, he has his ultimate for sustain. He has the meditation. He also has the knockup from the turtle, which will also give him a little bit of a health shield.
You know, I like that play, and I'm glad you mentioned the Deathbringer on the side of Hun Bats. Watch out for the action on the left-hand side, however. 3 jumps, and now the Monkey's got none left. Ultimate from the Nemesis, and Sentinel gonna put everybody very low, and Cauzing finds the kill on the CobbY, while Sentinel gets one of his own onto Mango Man, who will finally find another death. 8 in total. So while it seems like Mango Man has been getting out of these fights a lot, he's been dying even more so. Top deaths in the game on the solo lane for PutKettleOn.
And who is going to join him currently is Adept the Sanctuary. Not going to buy him out of this one. nMinos credited with that kill. And the unfortunate thing was PutKettleOn had the advantage, but just overextended slightly, but going to that tier 2 tower. They didn't have a wave, so it would have taken them a little too long to get that tower anyway. And the members from nMinos were just in a perfect situation to cut off the members with the Odin Cage. The Vulcan ultimate on top just did too much, and PutKettleOn now going to lose their tier 1 on the left-hand side.
We're seeing them we're seeing PutKettleOn be more successful, I would say, on the counter initiation than the initiation. Even under the Fire Giant, right? The enemy successfully got the Fire Giant, but PutKettleOn was able to clean house. I mean, really, it's just his gameplay style. So they got to allow nMinos to sort of engage on these tier 1 towers, these tier 2 towers, these objectives that don't mean as much, and then respond that way. But time's running out. There's only 2 towers left on the board.
But these towers don't really mean much how close this game currently is. Coming up at the 34-minute mark, these teams are only separated by almost 1,000 gold. All the Phoenixes still stand. You have 2 tier 2 towers on the side of PutKettleOn and only 1 on nMinos, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the Phoenixes at this stage.
Right, and of course those Phoenixes will respawn and respawn the more times that they're allowed to really stand and hang out. Look at this. Look at the player damage, though. Soul, who is sitting pretty much in the middle of the pack for a long time, has snuck her way to the top. And a big part of that has been the AoE damage coming out of Sudsea. He's just throwing out that damage and allowing it to hit multiple members. More for the slow than anything else, I reckon.
You have to know your role, and that's exactly what this Soul is doing. Staying in the back, popping off her 2s whenever she's allowed to. Baka's going to find a double knock-up. Nathan a little bit of trouble. Fear No Evil on the Vulcan. Going to force out that purification. However, separating the fight is the Odin Cage.
Yeah, we've got about 2.5 different fights. Sentinel takes out Shazzy in one of his own. 3-on-3 up towards the northeast, and Baka's got to find a safe spot. Sentinel gets the shot, and Auzrik takes one completely to the dome. The ultimate from Vulcan will pay off, and he finds his 10th kill of the game. Fire Giant started up.
Sucking out the air from Auzrik. He had nowhere to go. All the cooldowns were down. Vulcan ulti completely decimating him. Now 5-on-3 with Fire Giant. It's going to be 5-on-2 if nMinos can find the kill onto the Soul, which looks like it's going to happen.
He's got a ton of damage, Tolly. That lazy strike, that strike hits very, very hard. A couple of play around hits and Cauzing clean that one up as well off the assist of the entire team. And now nMinos making their way down the right-hand lane. All 5 members grouped up and ready to fight here. Bacchus by himself. I don't think he wants to engage on that one, but nMinos want to make a clean getaway. Everybody has about 10 seconds left before they respawn, so the Titan directly goes on. 50% for the big man. A lot of damage coming out from nMinos, and that'll do it. 29 on the kills, 35 on the clock. nMinos take a close game, and they push it to the end.
That game was just so close up until that last fight.
Oh, yeah.
33 minutes in, the teams were separated by only 1,000 gold. It was 2-1 in the tier 2 tower department. And just like that, all it takes is one Vulcan ult to turn everything around.
And you know what I liked the most about that was that a lot of times when we watch these Challenger Cup teams, keep in mind, these are players just like yourself. You can go ahead and sign up on Faceit and wind up being one of these teams next time around. These lower end teams, as they try to learn and fight their way into the pro scene, have trouble sealing the deal or ending the game a lot of the times. It's very difficult to identify when the window is open wide enough. But that was a relatively small one, and we got to see nMinos go directly for the win.
And that just comes with experience. The more and more you play in these Challenger Cups games, or the more and more you play during the middle of the week tournaments, you use this experience, you play against other teams of similar caliber or higher even, to the point where you know what you can get away with and what you can't. Both of these teams learned a lot throughout that game in terms of objective based. Can we get this tier 2 tower? No, we got punished for it, so they take it to the next game and learn from it.
And the beauty of this is that the Challenger Cup generally is just an open bracket where everybody fights somebody different. But once you make your way to the semifinals, and of course the finals, which are coming up next after our semifinal rounds, is the fact that you get to play your best of 3s. All right, so PutKettleOn, they see what they made their mistakes in, and they'll be able to change and adjust. If you are the coach, what are you saying to the red team, PutKettleOn?
I would say just be more careful about your positioning against this Kumbhakarna. He's doing such a good job zoning. The 1v1 earlier on in the solo lane was not that great for the Erlang Shen. He was always trying to battle it out. Also having to worry about the Neath World Weaver was not in his favor.
Quick question. Worth banning the Kumbhakarna?
I would say no.
Okay.
Personally, I just have to have a different playstyle. Maybe not pick Erlang Shen necessarily, because it's very easy to stick any Guardian in the solo lane against an Erlang Shen. The whole point of that pick in the solo lane is you're trying to bully out the opposition, but bullying out a Guardian early on is just not likely.
Also, having two Guardians set up the Mage is troublesome. Sentinel looked fantastic on the Vulcan and was a big part of where the damage came out from. As we said, 10 kills in the game before the ending sequence.
His mid to late game was pretty on point, following up the initiations off of the off of the Neath, also doing a great job with the Nemesis, the Wombo combo ultimate, setting up this Vulcan.
And look at him, even by himself, we're talking about the team and how the team interacts, but by himself, Sentinel's got the jukes, he's got the moves, able to find and identify a portion of the lane that he wants to drop the turret at and then go for it. Here, we see the ultimate that came and ended what everybody wanted to do in that second Fire Giant push, not the one towards the end of the game, but this one pretty much set up the rest of it.
And with this win now, what Nate's minions has to do is they have to figure out, like, there were some things that worked and some things that didn't. So despite finding the win, they still have to adapt and be able to secure the next one. So they have to worry about the Hunbats the second game.
I would even suggest banning it, to be honest with you. Keep in mind, this game, like Totally said, it was a 35.5-minute game. 33 minutes in, the teams were separated by 1,000 gold. This game was completely won by a single fight by the Fire Giant, which is what we see sometimes. But at the end of the day, PutKettleOn, make no bones about it, if you're just joining us, they also very easily could have won this game. Let's say the Fear No Evil comes out and the Vulcan dies before anybody else. All of a sudden, it's the blue team that has 4 players sitting out for 40+ seconds, and we can see PutKettleOn coming down and win. This is a very easily could have gone the other direction, and like I said, Hunbat's completely instrumental in the almost win for PutKettleOn.
Absolutely. We saw the Deathbringer on the Hunbats doing just wonders. He found the kill on the Vulcan in a 1v4 situation around the blue buff. And in the late game, he always tried to go onto the Vulcan. He knew that was going to be a big threat. He zoned out 2 members of the team fight. He even retreated back underneath the Fire Giant jumping over. But when he wrapped back around, the Vulcan ultimate was waiting for him. So he couldn't really find the early kill. And as a result, Vulcan really shined in that late team fight.
You know, you